Hello guys, welcome back to VC Tech. In today's video, we are moving into another powerful capability of enterprise network, configuring a DHCP server directly on a multi-layer switch. Unlike the traditional setup where a router handles all DHCP functions, a multi-layer switch allows us to assign IP address, manage multiple VLAN, and route traffic all from one device. In this tutorial, I'll walk you step by step through how to enable layer 3 routing, configure DHCP pool, and also set the right gateway. By the end of this video, you will understand not only how to configure DHCP server on a multi-layer switch, but also why this setup improves performance, simplifies management, and also scale better into modern network. Let's dive right in and build a smarter, faster, and more efficient switching environment. So, as I said, for this tutorial, we'll be using a multi-layer switch. As previously, we configured DHCP server on a router, but we'll be using a multi-layer switch. And always remember, guys, that a multi-layer switch needs to be powered on before we could use it by click and drag the AC power supply. After doing that, the multi-layer switch should come up anytime. Yes, as it is on now. So the configuration is more or less similar to the one we did on a router. However, there are certain configurations that we need to enable for a layer 3 device to carry out routing and also assign DHCP service to host devices on a network. So for this tutorial, we'll be using one multi-layer switch, 2 switches, layer 2 switch, and 4 host devices. We also have our notepad that we are going to be using. First, we need to enable IP routing and no switch ports on the multi-layer switch. Remember guys, a multi-layer switch by default serves as a layer 2 device until it is configured otherwise. So let's head in and do that. First of all, we want to enable IP routing on the multi-layer switch. So by doing this, we've told the router that we want to be routing out IP address. Then next, we have to head over to the interface on the multi-layer switch. Next, let's check our notepad. So we need to say no switch ports, as all the ports in a multi-layer switch act as a switch port. How we can configure it to serve as a non-switch port, we just head over to the interface gig 1/0/1. Now we are in the interface of gig 1/0/1. We want to say no switch port. So by doing this, the port now serves as an IP port. So let's assign IP address to this interface. We do that by saying IP add. So 192.168.1.1 with a subnet mask of 255.255.0. Guys, for this, let's create a node. So this will be taking the network of 192.1.0. Let's copy that. While this will be taking 2.0. So we've assigned IP address to the interface. Let's also say no short, and let's also assign IP address to the second local area network of the multi-layer switch. So we do that by saying interface gig 1/0/2. We want to say no switch port. Then we also want to assign IP address to that interface, 192.168.2.1 with a subnet mask of 255.255.0, and we want to say no short. The second interface on the multi-layer switch now serves as an IP port. Let's check our host devices if we are able to get IP address from the multi-layer switch, and it is not possible to get an IP address because we've not configured DHCP on the multi-layer switch. So let's check our notepad and see what we have. So we've assigned IP address to the interfaces on the multi-layer switch, which is also the default gateway of the local area network. Now let's activate DHCP service on the multi-layer switch. So we can do that by saying service DHCP. So we've told the multi-layer switch that it is going to be serving as a DHCP server to assign IP address to local area networks. Now it's time for us to create DHCP pool on the multi-layer switch so it can assign IP address to host devices on the network. So how do we do that? We say IP DHCP pool, and we want to name this tech. Remember guys, here we have our network default router, DNS server, domain name, exit, no, and option. So first let's specify the network, which is 192.168.1.0 network with a subnet mask of 255.255.0, and we also want to specify the DNS server, which will be taking 8.8.8.8. We also want to specify the default router, which is the default gateway, which is 192.168.1.1. So by doing this, we've created a DHCP to assign IP address to this local area network. Let's also do the same for the second local area network. We can say IP DHCP pool, and we want to name this VC with the network of 192.168.168.2.0 with a subnet mask of 255.255.0. We also want to specify the DNS server, which is 8.8.8.8, and the default gateway that the devices will be using to go out of the local area network, which is 192.168.2.1. So by doing this, guys, we've created a DHCP pool for each local area network. We can test that by going to the host devices and try to get IP address. Let's see if the DHCP server is active. Nope, it is not active. Let's try that one more time. So let's see what's the problem here. So default gateway 1.1. Let's see what default gateway did we assign to the local area network. So guys, this was our mistake for this local area network. The IP address was supposed to be 192.168.1.1. However, we did 192.68. So we are going to change this. We can change that by just copying that, and let's go to that interface gig 1/0/1, and we want to say no, and we want to paste that the IP address that we just copied, and we say no IP address. Then we try to assign IP address again to that interface. IP add 192.168.1.1 with a subnet mask of 255.255.0. Now let's try to get IP address again from our DHCP server, and let's see what happens. Alright guys, so our configuration now is correct. As previously we made a mistake with the second octet of the IP address. Let's also take note, guys, that this IP address is the host device, or the DHCP server is assigning IP address to the host device from IP address 2, 192.168.1.2. There are no excluded IP address yet, as we are going to configure that. Let's also assign IP address to this host device. And let's do the same for the other local area network. Let's assign IP address to it. So it is also taking 2.2. There is no excluded IP address. We are going to work on that pretty soon. And this one took 2.3. So guys, let's exclude a certain IP address from the IP address that will be assigned to the host devices. So we can do that by saying IP DHCP exclude. So we want to say 192.168.1.1 to 192.168.1.20. We also want to do that for the second local area network, as it is going to be serving IP address from 21. Let's check, and we will also test for connectivity by pinging the other local area network. As you can see guys, we are able to get our IP address starting from 192.168.1.21. This is how we exclude certain IP address from our host device. We keep them for servers on the network. Let's also check on this device. We also have IP address of 192.168.2.21. Now let's also test for connectivity, as we want to ping 192.168.1.21. And we are also able to ping the local area network of 192.168.1.0. Let's also check on our multi-layer switch. Our configuration do show run. You can see the excluded IP addresses, and you can also see the IP DHCP pool that we created for each local area network. So guys, this is how we configure a DHCP server on a multi-layer switch. It is more or less similar to that of a router. However, we have to enable IP routing on a multi-layer switch, and also changing the ports on a multi-layer switch from a switch port to an IP port. So guys, if this video helped you understand how to configure DHCP server on a multi-layer switch, and also how to convert a switch port to an IP port on a multi-layer switch, why not give me a like and subscribe to this video, so when next there is a new update on any tech videos, you're going to be the first to know. Thank you guys, and see you in the next video.